Alright, so in this video I'm going to show you how to do an image slideshow on InDesign. This one is quite a specific skill that I'm going to show you how to do, but this is one that has been on the exam paper before, so it's very much one that, you know, the exam board has asked in the past, so I think it's definitely one that is worth using. So obviously if you are doing an image slideshow, you will need a series of images to have on InDesign. Now the first thing you need to do to make things easier for you is to make sure that all of your images are the exact same size. So what I'm going to quickly do first is I'm going to place 5 images onto InDesign, and I'm going to resize them all so they are the exact same size and they're all sat on top of each other. So I'm going to draw a frame, do about that big. And then I'm going to go to File and Place. I'm going to find the images that I need. And I'm going to choose all of my images. So I'm going to hold Shift, click on the first and last one. There's more files in there. More files. There we go. So I'm going to choose all the files and press Open. And then I'm going to place them one at a time on my canvas. Now obviously all these images are different sizes. So what I want is I want all of these images to be the same size as this one underneath here. So I'm just going to really quickly resize all of these images so they all sit perfectly on top of each other. You don't have to resize the images if you don't want to. You can have them all in different lengths, but this way it will probably make things look a little bit neater when you do your image slideshow, because what you don't want is you don't want to have anything overlapping any other elements that may or may not appear on whatever it is you've been asked to make. So I would always recommend having your images the same size. It will make things quite a lot easier for you. Move that to the top a little bit. I have obviously done a video on resizing objects or resizing images already, so if you missed that one, check that one out first. But I'm just going to do this really quickly. Resize them all. Okay, so you can see there now, if I go onto my layers, which I can't see, layers, there we go. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different images all on there. They're all sat on top of each other, so you can't see all of them. But if I readjust the order, you can see there that I've got different images all on there. So obviously these images are all sat on top of each other right now, so we can't do anything about this yet. So what we want to do is we want to do something that's called creating a multi-state object. Now what that basically means is it means we're going to have one object or a frame, and in that frame we're going to have 5 different images. So all that basically means is all of these images here, we're going to put them into one frame. So to do that, we need to first of all select all of these objects here. So I'm just going to draw around all of these objects. So that should have them all selected now, but just in case you want to check, you can bring your layers up here, and you can see here these little blue boxes here indicate that I've got all of these layers selected. If any of these are in black, like that, then that's not what we want. We want to make sure we've got all of these selected. There we go. So once I've got all these layers selected, I'm going to go to Window, and I'm going to go to Interactive, and I'm going to go to Object States here. And it brings up a little dialog box here. Now what should happen is, because you've got all of these layers selected, all these objects selected here, this little plus here should be white. So if I hover over that, you can see there it says Convert Selection to Multi-State Object. Now what that means is, when I click that button here, it's going to take everything that I've selected and put it into one object. So if I click that, there we go. So you can see there that within this shape here, this one shape on its own, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different images. Alright? So this is basically a slideshow. Now obviously the problem we've got now is we need something to be able to scroll through the photographs. Now there are a few different ways you can do it, but what I'd probably suggest to make things easier for you is you use buttons. Okay? We've done buttons before, but I'm going to do a bit of a recap on that anyway, just to be on the safe side. So I'm going to go to Window, Interactive, and I'm going to go to Buttons and Forms. And then I'm going to choose this little hamburger button up here to choose Sample Buttons and Forms. You don't have to use the sample ones, but they're probably, for this, it's probably the easiest thing to do. So I'm going to find, what I want is obviously something to scroll through. So arrows would make sense. I'm going to go for these two black arrows here. So grab that one, drag it onto your canvas and put it underneath the slideshow. And do the same with the right arrow. So you can see that if I zoom in, I've got one arrow there. Probably a little bit too close. And then I'm going to do the same with this one, so it's nice and in line. So I've got my two buttons on there, but what we need to do is we need to make sure these buttons, when they're clicked on, they actually move through the slideshow. So I'm going to click on my first one. Now obviously the thing to remember is we are making this for something that's going to be viewed on the computer. So any buttons will automatically default to this. So we want to get rid of this. So I'm going to click on delete selected action there. I'm going to change the event to on click. And then I'm going to add an action. And that action is, because this is the left arrow is going to go to the previous state. Alright. I'm going to rename this button slideshow left. And I'm going to do the same thing for the right arrow. So I'm going to get rid of the default action. I don't want that. Yep, go away. I'm going to change the event to on click, and then I'm going to go to actions, and I'm going to have this one going to the next state. So what did I rename that one? Slideshow left. So this one is going to be slideshow right. Now what should happen now is when I click on these arrows, when I preview it, it will show me the next state that is in this object. And when we're talking about states, we mean all these things here. These are all different states within that frame. Okay, so let's preview it. So to preview it, I'm going to go to Windows, Interactive, EPUB Interactivity Preview. And then what you should find now is that these arrows scroll through all the different images that are in there. There we go. And that is how you get a very incredibly basic image slideshow. You can, if you want to, look at some more advanced options, which will be things like ones that automatically scroll, or ones that have like animations in there, or transitions when you transition from one image to the other. But for what we're doing, for what we need, we might not even need this, but it's a useful thing to have. It's a pretty basic skill to use. There's just a few little important steps to remember. That's basically it, really. If you've got any questions on that, send me an email, come and see me, you know where to find me. But that's it for how to create a very basic image slideshow, and I'll catch you next time.